Alright, hello everyone. We're going to start the build process on the cockpit for the FTL Innovations F16, and I'll kind of give you guys a breakdown on all the pieces that I 3D printed to make this cockpit work. So this is the top piece. This is the main dash part of the cockpit, and this is modified. FTL Innovations did send me over the files for their 3D printed cockpit, but I had to modify them pretty heavily to get the FPV stuff to work the way that I wanted. So one of the things I did here was I took from the original design, I lowered the height of the dash, and I changed the angle on it slightly and added these little curved, this little curved part. It's kind of like the real one, not exactly, but just a little bit more accurate. Then we also have the tub here. This is a tub that I 3D printed. We have, there's going to be a rail system for a tilt. It's not really a tilt, it's more going to lean. And I'm going to try that out. I don't know how it's going to work, but it should be pretty cool. There's a mount here for the servos, some spacers that I had to do here to get the servo to sit properly. So this is the main tub. We have a lot of parts here, and I'll start showing you guys. This is the main heads-up display module, and it also houses the main PDF screen, which is going to go right here. There's a screen here. This screen is from Zavionix. It's a telemetry device that will display critical information for the turbine. We got some rain in the background, so excuse the thunder. But yeah, it's going to show critical information for the turbine. And then this is the screen for the heads-up display. I had to separate the screen from the LCD part from the actual board, and I'm basically shining a super bright LED through the bottom to get this brighter so that I can see it during daylight. The problem that I had was when I put the screen on here the first time, I went to test it, I went outside, and it was just totally washed out from the sunlight. So by putting this 3D printed shroud here, I'll post some pictures of how I did it, but that 3D printed shroud basically has a super bright LED in there that shines through the bottom. It gets really, really hot, so there's a heat sink on there, and there's a fan that mounts to the back to get that heat off of that LED so it doesn't melt all the 3D printed parts. These parts are 3D printed out of carbon fiber PLA, and the gray parts are 3D printed out of regular PLA. The tub and the top, those are printed out of lightweight aero PLA to try to keep the weight down as much as possible. But it's hard for me to get. This stuff was really hard to print. It took me like a week of playing around with it just to get some decent prints. So for the things that had a lot of intricate details, like all these little buttons and stuff, I did that out of regular PLA because the machine printed that a lot better. So that's that part. We have the two side pieces here. These are the side pieces that's going to house two 0.8 inch screens. So just to explain you guys the screen sizes, these are I think 0.8 inch. This is a 1.5 inch. The one that goes right here is a 1.6 inch. and I don't know the size of this. It's the one that was sent with the telemetry. I have to measure it. So these are the two side pieces. We have some scale looking dash panels that I designed. I made the throttle and all the buttons to try to make it look as realistic as possible. I also still have to make the yoke of the steering yoke for pitch and roll control. So I have to design that, but that's just going to glue on the top right here, so I can do that later. Other pieces we have here is this is the seats. So the bottom of the seat, and then we have the back of the seat. All of that's already been painted. These are the rails for the rail system for the lean mechanism that's going to allow me to lean to the side, left or right, to kind of get a different perspective when I'm flying. So instead of having pan, tilt, and roll, it'll be pan, tilt, and a lean. I don't know how it's going to work, but if it does good, I'll leave it. If I don't, I'll just lock it in place. But it's something to experiment with, try. In my mind, I think it's going to work pretty good, but we'll have to find out for sure in actual practice. These two pieces here, this is how it's going to mount to the canopy. So plane is here, it's going to go in the canopy, these are going to mount, and that's how this guy is going to attach. So this is going to glue to the top of the canopy, and then this here would bolt to the bottom here, and this would bolt to the back here, and that's what's going to hold the whole assembly in place. And I could just take 4 screws out and remove the entire cockpit. Next thing that we have, this is a back bracket assembly. This assembly is going to hold the fan that is going to keep this cool. So this will bolt in place here. I use threaded inserts everywhere, but some of my hardware will be nylon to keep the weight down. I'm trying not to make this thing weigh too much, but this will bolt in place here. And then we have our, I believe this is a 20mm fan that will bolt in place here, and get a better shot where you guys can see, and that will be in place there, and that will keep that cool. We have our main bracket for our BAG gimbal, so that will just go in place like this, and then we'll have some bearings here. I use some plastic bearings. I can show you guys a bearing. So this is plastic bearing. It'll have 8 of these bearings in here. I just went with plastic bearings because I'm just trying to keep the weight down. So that was one method I could do it. And then we have our VTX cooling bracket. There will be a 40mm fan that goes on the bottom here. And then for the O4 Air Unit, that will bolt in place just like this. And then the fan will be on the bottom, and it'll just bring air right up through here, and that should keep this air unit super cool. Ideally is when I power it up, the air unit could just be on all the time. I don't even have to think about overheating. I have a few little tidbits here, you know, that I can show. Like these are the rails that'll glue on to mount the air unit, and then we have some bits here. These little guys here are to mount the antenna, and the antenna will be on the back of the seat. Each antenna for the VTX will be at an angle. These guys here will just allow me to glue that in place, and the antennas will clip in place. And then this is a wire spool holder. This is to keep the wires that are coming from the pan servo and the camera. This will keep those wires in place, kind of like that, and the wires will go down through here, and it'll just be a guide so they don't get bunched up. So that's mostly everything. Lastly, I do have the side brackets for the these are the side brackets for the glass, and let me grab the glass here. Let me put it back here somewhere. There we go. So this is the glass here. The way I did this glass is I cut this on the CNC, just designed it, and I just cut the shape out on the CNC, and then I laminate it with a reflective tape or reflective material that's used for heads-up displays. So I just laminated it with that, then cut that out. And this will just press in place in this, there's a little guide here. This will press in place there, and then this will be glued. It has this little tab here on the bottom because it fits on the side of the heads-up display assembly. So this guy here, both of these will fit kind of like this. And then I am not going to glue, I'm going to mount the glass first, and then I could pivot it up. I can pivot it like this to get the angle right to the camera so that our heads-up display data is centered on the glass. So the idea is I put the glass in there, and then I lay it on top, get the position right, and then I'll put some thin CA on the sides, and it'll be all locked in place. So with that being said, I've showed you guys all of the parts. We're going to get started with this assembly. Okay, so I've got most of everything explained about the parts. We're going to get started putting this together. I got all my hardware right here. I did assemble all of this, but it was like assembled with hot glue just to kind of hold it together to make sure everything fit right. And everything fit really good. So now I'm going to put it together more permanently. I'll just be using a set, just some medium CA to glue it all together. It's going to be a little tricky getting these side panels here, these guys lined up. It's going to be a little tricky getting those lined up, and then getting this in position to where the top fits on correctly. So I'm not really sure the best way to do this. I kind of wish I had put like in the 3D print, had like a rail right here so I knew the angle and the position of this, where that's going to be, but I didn't do that. So I kind of have to assemble this in a way where it goes together and this lines up correctly. So I think the best way for me to do that is to go ahead and mount this here and then mount this like this, because this all does line up in the software when I designed it. We're going to do that, and then we'll see how it works out. And all of this is going to be kind of tack glued together. It's not there, none of it's really heavy, so I don't have to go and put like just a ton of glue on it. It shouldn't go anywhere. So I'm just going to do just a little bit of glue lightly around there, kind of like that. And we'll go ahead and see if we can get this position in place. Get this kind of lined up. And that's about where it should go. And I'll put a little pressure on it. And hopefully that glue will bond. Okay. Next step, we're going to do the other side, the yoke. And I do need to put more glue than I thought. So that's what I'm going to do here. Learn from the last one. And we will position this in place and put a little pressure on it for it to glue down. Okay. So that's kind of our side panels right there. Get you guys a closer view. Okay. All right, so the next step, we're gonna need to put these on, but I think before I glue these in place, trying to decide if I should put these LCD displays in first. So they kind of fit in there like that, and then there's two screws. But I can get them in and out with it assembled, so let's just assemble it first and then do that next. Okay, so next we're gonna put a little glue here, there, and we're gonna attach this to this panel here. Before I do that, I want to see how much space I have between this, so I'll know how far I need to go to attach it. Yeah, I need to bring it all the way to the sides. Okay. All right, let's move this guy out the way. And We'll put a little CA right here, here, and right here. Okay. And what I want to do is kind of look at that and make sure that that is straight, which it is. Okay. And that glue just takes a few seconds to really tack up and hold, so I guess I just need to be a little more patient. Hopefully I'm being patient enough. Okay, let's get a good look at that. Okay. So one of the reasons why this had to be the first thing that I did with the aircraft was because there's going to be a good bit of weight in this whole setup here. And what I don't want is I don't want to have problems with the CG of the airplane. So if I get the cockpit done first, then when it comes time to build a plane, I can put the cockpit in and start positioning items on the plane to get the CG where it needs to be. But what I don't want to do is just assemble it and assume things will go in a certain place, and then I wind up having to add a bunch of, you know, nose weight or tail weight or whatever. So I'm going to glue this side here, a little glue in that spot along there, and then right here. Okay, so I've got this side lined up in place, and I'm just looking across the top to make sure those two screens are even, which looks like they are. And I'm just going to hold that in place and let everything kind of dry for a second. Now, one of the things I was concerned about is once I glue this this main assembly in, it might be kind of hard to get to the screws to get this servo in and out. I think I'll be able to get in and out without any major problems, but I'm not sure. You know, that screwdriver will have to come in. I can go straight here, but this one will be kind of at an angle. But I think it's far enough to get it to reach. The seat will have to be popped out. I'm going to put some like shoe glue to hold the bottom part of the seat in place, so it can be removed just by popping the glue loose. I won't use like any CA or anything like that. All right, so now we have this in place. You guys can get a good look at it. I do have, let me grab something, a screwdriver here. I do have glass or plexi in the places of these little gauges here, which was a little touch I tried to add for more detail. I had to cut those out with the CNC, and it was really, really tiny, but I was able to cut them out and get them in there. I took the actual like, it's a sticker behind the glass, and it was the sticker of the cockpit that actually came with the F16. So I just went with a razor blade, carefully cut that that instrument out, and then stuck it in here, and then put the piece of plexi or acrylic over it after I CNC'd it. So it was a nice little touch. All of this stuff was just painted with the airbrush and with hand painted to get all these buttons, you know, to get them painted and looking as realistic as possible. So I think that glue is pretty dry. So next step is to position this in place. So I'm going to drop that in there. And before I glue that in place, what I want to do is I want to take this cover and make sure that this cover is fitting down and I get the right angle. So the angle on this is going to go up a little bit, and it's going to sit just like that. So, okay. So what I'll probably do is have to have this cover on when I glue it in place. But if we take a look in there, let me get you guys a good angle. There's no gaps. Everything is fitting absolutely perfect. Okay, and so this will need to be glued in place just like that. So with that being said, let me go ahead and put some glue. Take this back off, put some glue in all the places that it's going to touch. We're going to have some glue right along this edge here. Very little. Same thing along this edge. Okay. Then we're going to put some glue right down here on the bottom. And it's at a weird angle. I don't have this angle perfect, so this is not going to sit perfectly flush. But it's not really that heavy. Shouldn't be that difficult to. I shouldn't have any major problems. So let's drop this on quickly while I can still move this. I'm going to be mad if that glue dries at this point really fast, and everywhere else it didn't want to dry. So all right, so let's get this lined up, make sure I have no gaps. I'm doing this all with a head cam, guys, so I know I'm not getting you the perfect angles. Just doing my best here to try to share this build with you guys. Okay, so we're glued in place, and from the side everything lines up good. From the back we're looking pretty good. Okay, so now that I have that done, I am ready to actually glue on this top cover, because that's going to help hold all of this together. I'm going to have to glue it in a lot of places, but this top cover is ready to go on. So let me check this, make sure we're in place. Yep, that looks to be holding. Everything is lined up good. And if you guys can see, there's just an ever so slight gap right here. But I put glue across the whole thing, so we should be good. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this top cover glued on. This is actually something I wanted to do because this top cover was such a pain to put this together and align everything and get it working, because it kept just coming off. And I would hot glue it, hot glue wouldn't hold. It was just kind of a pain, but now I'm going to have this thing on here permanently, and I am very much looking forward to that. I believe that's right, but I am going to put some glue. That glue that I put right there may not be in the right place, so I am going to, I'll glue it from the bottom. So I'm not sure if that's exactly right. Then we have some glue along here. And then along here. Okay. And I think that's it. Glue a little bit of glue along here. Okay. All right, everything snaps in place. Seems to be, yeah, that's that glue that I put there. Well, there was nothing actually there. It wasn't the right spot, but not the end of the world. All right. I'm very happy to be gluing this together. I might have it a little off, but yeah, it's not the end of the world. Okay. So that wasn't that bad. Took a few minutes. Got most of it assembled. And this is how it looks from the front side. Okay. You guys can kind of see where all the glue is. Sorry, my lighting could be better, but yeah. Okay. Good. I'm going to put a little bit more glue in a few places. Like here. Here. Last thing I want is this thing coming apart in the sky. There. it a little bit down in here. Okay, so hold tight. I'm going to get some accelerator, kick this off, and we'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Got a little bit of accelerator. Don't have a whole lot left in here, but kick that off. All right, perfect. Just get any excess accelerator, dab it off. Okay. I am very happy with the way this is turning out. Definitely is a lot of design work for me, kind of teaching myself Fusion 360 because I didn't really use that as much before this project, but this project has definitely helped me a lot with using that program. Okay, so next thing we're going to do is we are going to start working on putting those screens in. And when I pre-assembled it, I just color coded them so I know which one went where. It really doesn't matter, but that will help me just to make sure that my wires are going to the right place because the wires were pre-wired. So we're going to come here. I'm going to clean this screen off a little bit before I mount it in there because it'll be hard to get to it to clean it because it's deep down in there. So screen is somewhat clean. All right, that looks good. Then we're going to drop this side in. And it's going to line up. And what I did with the mounting these screens in, I tried to 3D print little guys like this, right? You see this little 3D printed receptacle for the screw? Well, that didn't work consistently, so I wound up just getting an M2 nylon nut and gluing it in place and then using an M2 nylon screw to screw it down. So that's why you might see some this here, but then here and here you'll see some nylon screws. Let me get a screwdriver. Probably should have had all my tools out that I was going to use before this, but we're good. Okay. So I need a M2 screw for one side, and the other side is going to have a little metal screw. So that one screens in place, and from the inside it looks absolutely beautiful, especially since I cleaned it. That looks really good. I'm very happy with that. Okay, let's do the other one. I'm going to clean that one up good. Okay, and we're going to drop this guy in place. Okay. And this one had 2 metal screws. Find those. The metal screws are actually a little easier to work with than nylon screws. Okay, that's one. But yeah, that looks great. Fantastic. All right. So the next thing we have is we need to mount our fan bracket assembly for the heads-up display. So I'm going to tuck this wire here down in there to where it's coming off the bottom, not up on across the heatsink. It is crazy how hot this that LED gets in there. It's so hot it will melt all of the 3D printed parts. But with the heatsink and the fan, it's good. I haven't had any issues. So here's the bracket assembly for that. We're going to go ahead and bolt this in place, and this bracket has it kind of, well, actually I can't do that. I have to mount the PFD on the bottom first, but then I can't do that because I got to mount the servo first. So back to the servo. All right, so let's put the servo in. interesting how everything has to go in order, and I have to know that order. So here are the screws for this servo here. These are M2. They're probably 10 millimeters long. They're metal screws. I've got threaded inserts in there to screw them in. So let's see if we can get that started. Okay. Then we need our second screw. Okay, and I think I could come right through here to get to that. No, I can't, unfortunately. So hopefully I can come this way. I can get it going straight without stripping it. There we go. Okay. All right. So I realized that if I put this screw in, I can't put that screw in until I can't put the PDF in unless I put this screw in first, because once the PDF's in, I don't know if I can get to that screw. So that's gonna be a pretty sharp angle. Might be able to do it. I mean, it's a Phillips, so it's not gonna be that bad. Yeah, I think I'll be okay. All right, so I think now we can go back to the, yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna wing it. I'm gonna go ahead and do the PDF, and then I think I can still get to that screw. Actually, I could have done everything with the PDF in there, but all right, I'm learning. Okay. So let's put the main PDF in there, primary flight display. Gotta clean it. All right. Okay, looks pretty clean. And this goes this way. There we go. And these nylon screws are going to be a pain to get in there. Okay, so I'm back. Took a little bit of work, but I managed to get all the screws in, and I put the screws in both of the side displays. So now we're off, we're back on track. So I'm ready to put the fan bracket and the control unit mounting bracket together on here. So that lines up just like that, and we have 4 nylon screws as well to hold this down. These screws are a little bit longer, so they're easier to work with. All right, so now we have the fan bracket in place, and if you look down in there, it's kind of hard to see, but you can see that heat sink in there. So that fan is going to blow air right through there across the heat sink, and there were some vents on the bottom of this display here. Right in here, there's some vents to let that hot air get out. So creates like a duct, and I think that looks pretty good. So next up, we're going to mount our fan, and this is be the fan for the heads-up display. It's a 20 millimeter fan. Yeah, and this guy's going to mount here just like this. I did get my spacing on those 4 screws for the fan off a little bit in the design process, so I'm really only going to hold it with 2 bolts, but this thing weighs nothing with some metal M2 screws. This thing is not going anywhere, so I'm going to go ahead and tighten it up. I just got to cat a corner the screws here. Okay, so That's how our unit's looking so far. Everything's in place. Our next step, we need to, we can connect our wires and we can mount our control unit. This is the control unit from FPV Toys. It has 4 ports in here. This is for screen 1 for each of the side screens, heads-up display, loaded with the new firmware that runs the heads-up display. So basically just Arduino with something else modified on it, but yeah, works pretty good. So this guy slides in just like this. Okay, so that's going to go in place like that. But before I mount it in place, I need to get all of the wires, the leads plugged in. So to do that, we're going to start. I cut and soldered and shortened up these leads because I didn't want them to just be too long and have just a bunch of excess wires. And when I pre-installed everything, I color coded it so I knew where each one went. So this is a black lead for the main PDF. We have the red lead. This is for the left side screen. Blue lead for the right side screen. And going the wrong side. And the green is for the top screen, for the heads-up display. All right, so let me go ahead and get this plugged in. Okay, and that will slide in place. Just noticed something. I am going to have a very hard time plugging in this top one. Yeah. So that's going to be an off-camera deal. So what I should have done is I should have left that lead plugged in to this top board here, because I can't really get to it with the cover on it. I think I'll be able to get in there and plug it in. It's just not going to be easy. So, yeah. You live and you learn, but we'll go ahead and get these sides plugged in. Okay, this is plugged in, and then once everything's plugged in, the unit can be pushed back. So off camera, I'll have some tidying up to do. I'll have to get this plugged in up in here for the heads-up display, and I'll have to secure these wires so they don't get caught in that fan. But for the most part, it's all still fitting and working really well. Okay, so that's where we're at. So all of our screens are mounted, our servo's in. I think we're ready to glue the back seat in. So this is the back seat. That's going to actually be glued in place with CA. And then we could start mounting our rails for our lean mechanism. So I'll put some glue on this guy here. This is printed out of the lightweight foam Aero PLA, I think. Keep that weight as low as possible. And then I'm just going to center this. I'm just eyeballing it. It's hard to screw that up, so. And I'll hold this in place. And once it firms up, we'll move on to the rails. All right, let's see. Yeah, looks pretty good there. Okay, so that's the back seat. That's how it's all going to fit. All right, so the next step is to get our rails mounted, and we're going to start by screwing in the back rail. Okay. And this is going to have a metal M3 screw, about 6 millimeters long. Oh, it fell down in there. Get my tweezers to get it out. Okay. One, and let's get the next one. Hope I don't have a fitment issue here, because I definitely checked this several times and there was no fitment issues, but this rail is touching the back of that seat. I don't really know why. Maybe I needed to be higher on it. I'm gonna roll with it to see, but definitely something seems a little off. Okay. Okay, next step is we need to take our BAG bracket assembly and get the bearings in and mount the other rail. So this is a little tricky to do, but it's definitely doable. So I'm putting each one of these nylon bearings in place. Okay. Once I have that, I'll just hold it over and then put the other ones in place. Okay. Then we'll grab the other rail right here. And the trick is to get this, get the bearings pushed in place carefully. It's kind of a tight fit, but the object was I didn't want to have any play in this assembly, so it's a little tricky for me to get this together, but it will go. So let me get this. I'll see if I can slide that bearing in. Okay, so that bearing's in place. So the even trickier part is to get the other side in place. All right, wasn't that bad. I got it in there. It was just trying to get those bearings to slide in place, because it's kind of a pretty tight fit. All right, so we're going to put the other two screws in the front rail. Okay. Okay. So now the rail's in place. You can see the tilt mechanism moving back and forth. Okay, and it doesn't have a lot of play in it. It's pretty tight. So that was the whole design process, was just to make sure that I didn't have any slop in the gimbal. All right, so now that that's in place, I'm ready to mount the BAG gimbal, and we have, we're going to use the foams that they supply on this thing to get the height correctly. I use 2 foams. So I'm going to slide the foam through here, and then the second foam through. And then I'll push a couple of nylon screws through, or 4 nylon screws. Okay, on that last screw, we do have the wire guide that has to go in there. So this is the wire guide. Screw will go through there. I think I got the tolerances a little tight on that, but it goes through. All right. Well, it's like it threaded in there, but yeah, we're good. Okay. Then this wire guide here. Okay. It's just a clip for the wires, 3D printed. I'm going to push that through, and that's how that wire guide goes. Then I can push my servo wire into here. Need to give myself a little bit of play. Hopefully I can get this through here without it breaking. And the clip goes, will be there on the side. Once it's secured, it should move. And then what I'll probably have to do is put like a little zip tie or a little piece of tape or something right there. That should allow me to rotate all the way back without seeing the cables or cutting or binding up with the cables. So we're going to run this down through. Actually, these go on the outside. Okay, we'll thread this in. If I needed to change like the angle, like say, even though this is a tilt, right? If it's centered and say the angle on the camera is a little off, I could just tighten it up against this foam, and it will, you know, lean or, you know, to whatever side is compressed the most. So that's a pretty cool feature about the way this little system works. So I want a little pressure on it, but I don't want too much. Okay, so now we have that in place, and then our lean would be like this. So it can lean left or right. So I don't know, like I said, I don't know how well that's going to work. I think it might be a little bit more useful in flight as opposed to just having it tilt, because I can get, I think I can get a better perspective of, you know, viewing out the side or over the side of the canopy or something like that with a lean, as opposed to just tilting the head, because it's not going to give me any extra angle. So that was kind of like my idea. I don't know, you know, there might be a problem. The only thing I can think of is like, say I tilt my head and then I turn my head, you know, 90 degrees, or like to look behind me. The lean could be reversed at that point. So I don't know. I'm going to see how it works. It's also going to be very little gain or very little throw in that servo or in the setup of the head tracker. You know, just to give just a little bit. I don't want, you know, nothing. It won't be a lot. Put it like that. So my next thing that I need to do is we need to center this servo, and then we get the arm on there. And I am going to plug it in and get that lean servo centered. So I'll turn this guy on. Make sure it's working. Okay. I'm going to bring it to 1500. All right. There we go. Now I'll just turn it off at that point. Okay. So, you guys look there. There's a bearing guide on the front of the servo, and that bearing guide, there's a couple bearings in the arm. So this is a servo arm. It's got a couple bearings in it. It's going to go into that guide, and that's what's going to move it back and forth. So we'll try to get this centered. Get that screw started. Okay, see if I can get it kind of tight. Okay. I'll come back and tighten it a little bit more off camera, but let's see how it works. The battery is almost dead in this servo tester, but maybe there'll be enough there to cycle it a few times. Okay. So yeah, there we go. So this is looking that way, the camera. Let's see, lean to one side, lean to the other side. Pretty cool. And there's not a lot of play in it. It's nice and tight. So yeah. And that's just a wild hair of an idea that I had. So we're gonna see how well it works. That camera is definitely leaning to one side. Looks to me like it's leaning a little bit to my left. So I'm gonna tighten this right side up just a little bit. Looks a little bit better. Might need to go a little bit more. Okay, yeah. First thing we'll do with the VTX is we need to get this VTX mounted. So we need to get the VTX mounted. So there's a little wire guide here for the wire to come out. And I'll have to take this back loose, but I'm just getting it kind of mounted right now because I have to run the power wire to it. But it's going to fit in there kind of like that. And then we have these screws here. I think these are 10 millimeter, maybe 12 millimeter. Okay, and we're gonna thread these into the air unit. So they thread right into those factory holes in the top of the air unit, O4 Air Units. So this guy is going to fit kind of on the back here, kind of like that, right? So I want my wires for the fan to come out on the same side as all of these wires, so it makes it easier for routing everything. So the airflow on the fan, there's a little arrow here. The little arrow shows that the airflow is going this way, so that's the way we want. And then we're going to grab these nylon screws here to thread the fan in. Okay, so now that's on there. You can see how everything is going, and I will have to take this loose to put the power plug in at some point, but I don't have to do that right now. So so we're pretty good there. So the next thing is we got to get the mounting rails for this, and these are the mounting rails, and they're held in with, you guys guessed it, nylon screws. Okay. Okay. Almost got it. All right. Now that's in place. The rails are on. I don't want to get any super glue down in there because I'll never get those screws out. But we're going to mount this guy. It's going to go right here, just like that, right off to the side of that hole here where all the wires are coming out. So our leads going back to the aircraft will be kind of like a big pigtail that comes out right there. So I'm going to go ahead and get these rails glued on. We're going to push that all the way up because the bottom of the tub is going to seal off the back part to make sure that all that airflow from the fan is being pushed across that air unit. And that glued very quickly. All right, perfect. So now that we have that, this is how we're looking here. Okay, and I did pre-check it in the cockpit that this clears. There's enough space between this and the bottom mounting panel inside the front of the airplane that we won't have any issues with it pulling air up, drawing air in. So that all does fit good. So next thing we have is we have our antennas, and our antennas are going to fit kind of like this, kind of at an angle, right behind the seat. So these are the clips for the antennas, and the only thing I haven't done is check to make sure it snaps on, but it looks like it does. I got my measurements right because I never checked it. And they're going to position something about like this. Let's see, get you guys a better view. So they're going to position kind of like that on both sides. So go ahead and put some glue on this guy. A lot of these parts, this was lightweight aero PLA, and I painted it, airbrushed it with some flat black paint. All right. Try to get them as even as possible. Okay, so now they're in place. And I should be able to just snap this in place, which will make life really easy when it comes time to have to remove this air unit for whatever reason I might need to. There we go. That is beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, that is perfect. So now we have a cockpit in there. We have our antennas mounted. I can raise or lower these antennas if I need to. I'm going to get them as high up as I can inside of the cockpit without touching it. But that is looking wonderful, wonderful. Okay, so we've got it basically assembled. I'm going to add the LCD, the glass. I'm just going to sit it on there just so you guys can see. And then I also need to glue the front part of the seat in. And the front part of the seat is going to go right here like that. But I do want to make sure I get that screw just a little bit tighter because this will have to come out. It'll be in with like shoe glue to hold this in place. So that'll have to come out if I ever need to get to this servo. But it's centered. As long as that silver screw is tight, I think we'll be all right. And the idea is, you know, the seat's a little far apart. All the dimensions on this thing are not like 100% accurate. I had to kind of, you know, everything's a little oversized in certain areas to accommodate the size of the screens. And then to get the gimbal in here and the head tracker, you know, just with the room, this was like the best I could come up with. But you know, I think it's coming out really, really well. This looks fantastic. I'm extremely happy with it. So next thing is to do the glass. So as I said before, this glass was cut on the CNC and it's got a reflective material on it, and the material needs to go facing the camera. So I'm going to clean this a little bit. It's going to have to be re-cleaned because it's going to get dirtier, but just in the process of building things. But yeah, so this should slide in here. It's a really tight fit, so hopefully I can get it in there without lifting the laminate stuff, reflecting laminate material. So try to do it, but I think we're okay. All right, so that's in place there. Okay, perfect. And then let's do this side here. I'm going to kind of just start and make sure this glass is as clean as possible. All right, and then that guy will push in just like that. And probably need to bend these tabs a little bit, get the fit a little tighter. All right, so I got it all together. I'm going to do a little bit of wiring off camera, and we're going to come back and we're going to see this guy all powered up. But this is the FPV cockpit for the FTL Innovations F16.